Hey, what's going on, everybody? So I am coming on to do a reading for the collective, specifically catered to the black man and the black woman in regards to the agenda of the so-called powers that were, because they are coming out of their position as we speak. This is a part two in regards to the agenda against the chosen, especially the 144,000, the chosen of the Most High God. Right now, we are in the age of Aquarius. We are in the age of awakening, and we are coming into a space of asking questions. We want to know what is going on around us. What is the true agenda? We're asking, we're wanting to dive deeper, okay? Not only diving deeper in regards to what's happening with our external circumstances, but also diving deeper within ourselves to really go within, pull up all of those suppressed emotions so that we can heal and step into our divinity, step into our power. Okay, so I want to definitely do this to see what is going on, what is the current agenda against the black man, woman, and child. This is part two. If you have not seen part one, I didn't label it as part one. It just reads the agenda against the chosen. Go and check that out. Because this information is very important for us at this time. Now, I'm just going to pull from various decks to see what the message is and how it unfolds. I do private readings. If you want a private reading from me, you can always um, inbox me. I'm sorry, email me for a private reading. So let's get started. They hurt you because there's a better opportunity coming soon. Okay? They hurt us because there is a better opportunity coming soon. So, what I just said, these people, their agenda has been to hurt us, okay? To bring us down to a very low state, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially. The entire agenda has always been against the melanated man, woman, and child. Okay, this is no secret. As much as, many of us would like to say, well, no, that's not the case. Look at, they put President Obama into the White House. For those of you who are drawn to watch my videos, I'm pretty sure that you are awakened to the agenda at this point, because you would not be drawn to me unless you was awakened and you are able to see past the illusion. Okay, you're able to see past the puppet show, and you're able to see through this matrix and see that the agenda has been strongly against us for a very long time. Okay, it is no secret. They hurt you because there is a better opportunity coming soon. So we had to go through some things. We have been going through some things as a collective, okay? Being hurt, being bruised, being used, being misused, mishandled, okay? A better opportunity is coming for us very soon, all right? We have a new beginning that's happening right now, okay? And so exposure is happening for these people, and true righteous judgment, not from the judicial system that we are currently under, but from a higher court system, okay, a higher governmental system in the spiritual realm is bringing judgment over these people, because we have not received the righteous judgment. The scales have not been balanced because of what they have done to us. If the scales was balanced, they would no longer be in power. If the scales was balanced, the majority of us would no longer be in poverty, okay? And so many other factors, all right? And so this says it'll be a long process with the current energy, all right? Why is it going to be a long process with the current energy? Because the energy is everything. Understand that everything that exists around you, everything, you are energy. These cards are energy. They pick up on energy. What I speak, the volume of my voice, the octaves of my voice is energy. Everything is energy. We must understand that. So based on the current energy that the collective black community is putting out there, the process will take a while because many of us are asleep. You have to understand, we are all one body. Even though we operate as individuals, we are all one body. Okay? And as one body, I'm talking about my people right now, okay? Eventually, as time goes on and as history, as the scales begin to balance out, then I feel that you can begin to incorporate other races of people into the forward movement of humanity. But right now, it's almost like when you are going through your own healing process. who do you have to start with? You got to start with you first. Then that actually benefits your family and those people that are surrounding you in your immediate environment. They benefit from that. Then it trickles out into your community, your friends, your co-workers. Then it goes even further. So that's where we're starting here, okay? So we are starting with our community. This is what I'm talking about here. Our community of people. The current energy that we are projecting is going to be a long time. Why? Because too many of us are still very strongly under religious constructs, traditional belief systems that did not come from us. It does not come from our origin. It did not come from our root. It is not natural. It is not our uh, ancestors' patterns to worship a white Jesus. Okay, we need to definitely acknowledge that. That is not us. Maybe your grandmother, your mother, yes, those ancestors. But when we go further into our lineage, we was not looking at a white man and putting him on a pedestal and worshiping him. As a matter of fact, when you see some of the Vaticans, when they go into those different places out in Rome and stuff like that, when you go into those Catholic churches, especially the ancient ones, the photos that they have up of Christ is black. It wasn't until slavery that they handed you someone that looked like them, because this is all the agenda. When they take from people, they place themselves on a pedestal. Okay, that's been their motto. Everywhere that they go, they project and they push this white Jesus. They push this specific religion. They push this specific political structure, and they push certain diets. They push certain lifestyles. All of these things, because they have been placed in a position of power for a time, but their time is short. Okay, because the way that they went about gaining the power was from a space of no integrity. We can't even say they had a little bit of integrity. They had no integrity, because they stole, they raped, they murdered, they robbed, they killed. Okay, they did everything you can name. Black magic, okay, tampering with DNA, everything that you can name, messing with the stratospheres, the ozone layer, messing with the wind. Now they want to block the sun. How far can you go before righteous judgment comes upon your head and balances out the scales? Karma is on their asses, okay? It's their time now. So, but because of our energy, getting back to us, because we are still so accustomed to this system, because many of our people are still so drawn to the system, so connected. It's like we have an umbilical cord to the system, and without the system, without the current structure, it's almost like you don't know what to do. The nutrients and everything that you are getting from the system, if it was to be cut off, it's like you would lose oxygen, and there would be nothing of us left, because so many of us are dependent on the system. Under our current energy, it's going to take a while for the true righteous judgment to be passed and for the scales to be balanced. And so it's time for us to start doing the inner work, to start healing ourselves on an individual scale, so that as a collective, as each person heals, it's like a domino effect. We become that light, okay? We become that light. And so let's see. Let's see what else we get from this deck. And I'm going to pull from a different deck. Okay, so we have here, it'll be a long process with the current energy. And now I have, it'll be a short process with the current energy. So based on when it comes to healing on an individual scale is what I was just speaking on. So that's probably why that card came out. On an individual scale, once we begin to heal ourselves and do the work, do the self-reflecting, get into that space of becoming connected again with Mother Nature. Okay, because as Black people, one thing that we know, one thing that we have not strayed from is the fact that there is a God. The Most High God does exist. There's a creator of all things. For the most part, most Black people, you can't tell them that there is no God, okay? And I'm still out. My Father Yah, that's what I call him, the Most High Father Yah, the creator of all things. I pay homage, reverence, I give respect, okay, acknowledgement daily, all day. Because without the creator, there is no me, there is no you, there is no us, there is no progression, there is no justice, there is no balance, there's nothing, okay? And so with healing ourselves, we can actually shorten the process. We can shorten the process of how long it's going to take for these scales to be balanced, because if we do it as a whole, based on the energy that we are projecting right now, then we are not working. We're not working with enough to actually balance out these scales or to shift the energy. When we do it on an individual basis and start healing as a collective, individually first, taking back our own power, stepping into our own divinity, okay? That's when the process shortens. We have the power. This is what it's saying. We have the power to determine whether this is going to be a long process for the scales to be balanced or a short process for the scales to be balanced. And they know this. The so-called powers that were are very well aware that literally once we decide to heal on an individual basis, there's nothing that they can do. You see what I'm saying? Because what we possess is very powerful, and this is why they want to put you back to sleep. This is why they want to keep you in a space of fear, inciting fear constantly to the public and to, and to humanity, especially to the melanated people. If they can take enough, victims like black men and put them on the forefront, okay? If you can find enough black men like Trayvon Martins, if you can put enough Trayvon Martins out there, okay? If you can put enough, I can't even think of everybody's names right now. It's been so many people that's been killed, and I have checked out. I have completely checked out from the news, y'all. Okay, I stopped watching TV, you might as well say about 3 years now, because I stopped counting now. I stopped watching TV. I completely checked out. I don't even listen to the radio anymore. I might tune in to some songs on YouTube every once in a while, some old school from the 80s. But for the most part, I have completely checked out from anything that's going to lower my vibrations or that's going to put me in an energy of shame, guilt, self-loathing, or fear. I do not do fear, okay? And so I'm not completely aware of all of the murders, and I'm not keeping up with those things, because when you keep up with those things and you're constantly watching, well, who got killed today? Who's getting killed tomorrow? That is lowering your vibration, and it's putting you into this energy of anger. It's putting you into this energy of fear. You begin to become fearful for your children. Okay, we don't operate from fear. We operate from a space of faith and power. You have to understand who you are as a melanated being, because with the lack of understanding, that's when other people are able to come in and assert a control and power over you. Please understand the amount of energy that they had to exert to put us in this docile position. They had to literally do things to tear our mental space apart. They had to tear down our spiritual belief system. They had to tear down our mind. They had to recondition us in the way we think about ourselves. They had to change the way that we think about each other. They had to change our sexuality. They had to throw off balance, throw our sexuality off balance, by causing different scenarios, putting people in positions. Even during slavery, during that time, they would make, the men, raping the women, incest, all types of things was going on that was being forced upon us. And these were things that we was not doing prior to enslavement. So they had to use a lot of conditioning in order to strip us of our powers and to put it to sleep, because they didn't take nothing. What they did was they put it to sleep. And as long as they can keep us asleep from who we are and our abilities and the power that we truly possess, then they stay in a space of power. But once we awaken to who we are and we understand that we are children of the Most High God and that He created us in this melanated skin for a reason. They don't hate us just because our skin is brown. They hate us because the brown skin that we possess has power. Okay? We absorb the UV rays from the sunlight. We absorb it, okay? Whereas they are repelled by it. Too much of it causes skin cancer for them. So you need to understand the only thing that exists in the universe that actually absorbs the UV rays from the sunlight is the ozone layer and black-skinned people. That's why they haven't killed us off. That's why they're not going to kill us off. Because literally, that the so-called powers that be, they don't fool with us, okay? They do not rock with black people, mainly because they understand who we are. They understand the power that we possess, and it scares them, okay? And so anybody that you are fearful of, you feel inferior to. And when you feel inferior to someone that you're fearful of, you tend to do things, you project that energy. But it's coming from people who are mentally disabled, people who have no empathy, who lack compassion. They lack the ability to feel. They lack the ability to have a true connection to everything that exists around them. Understand this, okay? And so they know the power of our melanin. And so, getting back to what I was saying in regards to the ozone layer and our skin, the things that actually absorb the UV rays of the sun is melanin and the ozone layer. They have been actively working on destroying the ozone layer, whether it was intentionally or unintentionally, with the things that they've been doing, like with the electrical system, the way that we get our electricity. There are ways to actually create electricity, because electricity is infinite. There's ways that we can actually have our power source without having to use without having to use the measures that they have inserted today. But because it has been lucrative financially, they have continued to do it in that way, even though there are natural ways to gain electricity where most of the world would benefit from it. Okay, most of the world would benefit from it, and you wouldn't have to pay one red cent, because electricity is infinite. Okay, and that was discovered a long time ago, but they put a hush hush on that because it would have touched the dollars of the so-called elites and those who are at the top that are making all of this money off of the people. And so that energy, the measures that they are using to create energy, it has been affecting the ozone layer. All of the pollution and the toxins that's been going out into the world, up into the ozone layer, it has actually thinned it out. Okay, and so the absorption, as far as the ozone layer absorbing the UV rays from the sun, it has become more difficult now. But guess who else is going to absorb the UV rays? The black melanated people. We absorb it, but not only do we absorb it, but it actually has the ability to enhance and to activate our DNA. The sun is the most powerful source of energy in the universe. It is the source of energy for the entire universe. Okay. And so, because it is the source of energy for our planet and the planets that exist within our solar system, okay, we have the ability to absorb the UV rays and to actually unlock our own DNA and to receive the spiritual messages, the messages that come through from the sun, the energy that comes through from the sun, okay? When we moved into the age of Aquarius, the sun, the planetary alignment shifted. We move closer to the sun now. We're actually closer to the sun now than we've ever been. So because we're closer to the sun now, guess who's being affected? The white-skinned people, those who lack melanin. Why do you think that they are actively looking for ways to block out the sun? This has been something that they have been talking about for years. They want to block out the sunlight because, see, the thing is, they will not kill us off, because if they kill us off, then now they lose another layer of protection, because collectively we come together to absorb the UV rays of the sun. If they kill us off, and they've already done much work to destroy the ozone layers, then guess what they have left? It will be them against the sun, and they don't want that. So instead, they'll try to block out the sun, okay? And what they've also done, because they've conditioned us to believe that materialism and that those things that we have in the flesh is more important than our spiritual evolution, they have removed us from our connection to nature. When we was, during the time that many of our ancestors were in a space of slavery, okay? During slavery, we were always outside in the sun. In the sun, amongst nature, receiving those UV rays, had the full potential to activate our DNA, because we was out in the sun more time than we was indoors. But the only reason why we was not able to step into our divinity and into our power at that time is because they was inciting fear, using fear tactics to keep us asleep, as well as using a religious structure, placing certain images in front of us to make us think that we was, inferior, and that we had to stay in a docile state. We had to stay in a submissive state. Okay, so using religious sources to do that against us, to keep us from stepping into our power and understanding who we are. We had the ability to tap in then because we was connected so much to Mother Nature. We was out in the sun all the time. But because of the fear is very low vibrational in energy, very low vibrational in energy. And what fear does is it keeps you from seeing things from a higher perspective. It keeps you in survival mode. And so we was in a position where it was like, okay, we have to work, we have to work. There's nothing that we can do, because if we try to escape, if we try to evolve, if we try to gain an understanding, if we try to remember who we are and use it to our advantage, what are they going to do? They're going to kill your child. They're going to kill your husband. They're going to kill your wife. And they was doing these things, using the children as alligator bait, all types of stuff. You all know this. We know these things. And so that's the reason why, even though we was highly exposed to the elements, we was highly exposed to the sunlight, which is our friend, okay, we was not able to tap into our divinity and to awaken our DNA and our powers, because we was being bogged down and suppressed into a space of submission, using the tactic of fear, okay, and also removing our spiritual belief systems and replacing it with one that also incited fear. If you don't worship this white Jesus, you'll go to hell. If you don't give homage to this white Jesus, you'll go to hell. If you don't become submissive to your slave master, you'll go to hell. All of these different things was used against us, and it worked for a time. So understand that for hundreds of years, these things have trickled down into the black community, and it has put our DNA to sleep. Okay, it has caused us to have dormant DNA, and also understand that when they talk about junk DNA, much of that junk DNA is so-called junk DNA because it's asleep, it's dormant, it has not been awakened yet. They say that 99% of your DNA is junk DNA. Do you really believe that the Most High will create? That he will create us to have 99% of DNA that's just nothing but junk? If it was junk, then what do we need it for? You see what I'm saying? But because they've been able to incite fear and change the vibratory energy around us, because as I said from the very beginning of this reading, energy, everything is energy. Okay? And so if you are able to manipulate the mind of a man, they studied this. They studied this very long and very hard. They knew that they had to come up with the perfect game plan before they tried to move in on us, because we are some very powerful beings when we stand in our nature and in our true divinity. So they strategically used every tactic possible to lower our vibrations. Okay? And so, let me see. Your intuition is right about that situation. So intuitively, we as a collective know that there is a spiritual warfare that is happening against the chosen, okay? We as a collective know that there is warfare that is happening against the black man, woman, and child. Whether you want to address it outright or whether just in your mind you're able to feel and know the truth. We know that there is an agenda against us, and that it's time for us to step up, and that it's time for us to change and reshape our circumstances. So let me see, what do we have here? Family room. We need to start at home. Definitely starting within the confounds of our own personal space, okay? Definitely bringing these changes about within ourselves first, and teaching our children, because that's been one of the largest agendas, has been against the black woman and the child. And I had just did a live a few days ago on Facebook, because I had a dream the other day. And this dream, I'll try to get through it as quickly as possible. This dream consisted of, let me just tell you the dream. I was outside, and it was about 10 black women that was outside with me, and we was all arguing. Like, we was just all upset with each other. Had no idea what we was arguing about, but we was arguing. And so a group of people came up to us. It wasn't the police, but I guess they was some sort of, I don't know who these people were, but they took us all into this building, and they took us into a room. And as we sat in the room, they left out of the room. So me and these women was in the room together, me and these black women that were arguing, and we began talking to one another, and we began, hugging one another and expressing our apologies, and I was telling them, look, I have 6 children. The other lady, she was like, I have 3 children. Everybody was saying, well, I have this many children, I have that. So all of us had this one thing in common, the fact that we was black, and the fact that we all had children. So these people came, they walked us to another room. They took us all and they chained us together, row by row, like we was on a train. They chained us all together. And they started walking around. They had these clipboards and these badges on. These was women of different races now, black, white, Asian. They was in there and they had these clipboards, and they had these buzzers, and they was using these buzzers to jab us. Every time they was jabbing us while we sat there chained to one another in this row. And so in the dream, I intuitively knew that they was trying to turn us into robots. Okay? And so they left out of the room. These women left out of the room, and me and the women that was chained, we were still in there. And half of us, we were still coherent enough to come up with the plan. And we said collectively, all right, we're going to push back together, because we was in a row, a seat, a row of chairs together, chained to the same chain link. And we said, all right, we're all going to push back at the same time. And we pushed back at the same time, and we broke the chains. And we all got up and we started scattering and running around. And I looked into another room and I saw one of my children. They had placed one of my children in another room that was adjacent to the room that we was in. And so I saw her and I grabbed her and I took off and I ran out of this back door that led outside. Now, at this time, I knew that I was only going to be able to take one of my children with me. This was my youngest child, because I knew in order to escape, I was not going to be able to take all of my babies, and that was breaking my heart. But I just knew that I had to take at least one. I had to do something. And so when I got outside, I was running, and it led me back inside the same building that I had just left out of. So at that point, I realized this building was blocks long. Not only was it a huge building, but it was also adjacent and attached to the outside. Okay, so they had this entire structure placed in a way where all of it was connected, outside and inside. So when I got back inside, I realized that there was a bunch of like doors that had these codes on them, that only certain personnel, people that worked there, had access to these codes. And so I had my baby with me. I had her mouth covered up so that she wouldn't be making a lot of noise. And every time one of the personnel staff opened up a door, I snuck in behind them to go through each door and each door. Then when I finally got to another door, there was a lady there, a black woman, and I really needed this code. And she looked at me, we made eye contact, and she came over and she whispered the code into my ear. And so I was so nervous, I was putting this code in, getting the code wrong each time, until finally the door came open. I went into another room, and in this room, I had to jump down and get on the floor right away, because there was this white man that they had called in. I guess he was in a position of high authority in this establishment. And he said out loud, he said, I want y'all to shut down the entire building and to announce that there's a woman that is trying to escape with a child. He was talking about me. And so as he started walking around and looking around, I was sneaking up behind him as he went. As he walked, I was behind him with my baby holding her mouth, sneaking around, trying to get through, because I knew he looked in that area. So I was just staying on his toes. Okay, I don't know how I was able to do it, but that's what Dream was about. Until finally I got to this area where there was a corridor. I saw a corridor on my left, so I ran down this corridor fast. And as I got to the end, I noticed that I was coming to an escalator that was descending down towards the train station. And I held my baby. I had a hoodie on. I pulled the hoodie over my head to disguise myself. And as I was descending down this elevator, the Most High told me that I was going to be going to another country with my child, and that by the time I came back, that the story about these people's agenda and what they was doing would be revealed to the public, and that it would be safe for me to come back to give my testimony. And that's when I woke up. And I wrote everything down when I woke up, and I went on Facebook Live to express it. But I say that to say, these people have had an agenda against the woman and the child specifically, because they know that we produce, okay? Black women, for the most part, we tend to be very fertile when our DNA and when our reproductive system is not messed with or tampered with, okay? And one of the things that generally tampers with our reproductive system, a lot of us end up going through sexual abuse at a young age, and that blocks your sacral chakra, which throws off your hormones. It causes hormonal imbalances. It causes blocked creativity, and it also blocks your it's like it blocks your creative gifts, and it also blocks your ability to procreate, especially at the rate that we used to, because your ancestors, it was not uncommon that your grandmother had 10 children, or your great grandmother had 12 children. Okay, we was always reproducing, but because of a lot of the perversion that was placed on us due to the mental inflictions that happen through slavery and through these people coming in and really just messing with us, okay? There was a lot of molestation that have passed on from one generation to the next. And so these things actually play a large role in blocking the sacral chakra and causing an issue with us having children, as well as the fact that birth control became so much more prevalent. They started pushing that on us a lot more, telling us, okay, well, you want a career. That's what's important. This is about maintaining your materialism. This is not about creating uh, another generation for yourself. And so birth control will throw off your hormones and cause you to have a delay in bearing children, as well as molestation, as well as many of the vaccinations, many of the chemicals in the foods, eating inorganic foods, okay, many of the illnesses. There's so many different factors that they have used in order to cause issues with our ability to reproduce at the rate that we used to. And so there was a large target from the very beginning against the black woman so that she would not bear, so that she would not reproduce as many children, because you know the children are the future. And so if you have a whole lot of black babies that are awakened to who they are, then guess who's going to guess who's going to be in a space of power next? Those black children that are raised by healthy, healed black women. And so that's why they have been targeting us so strongly, okay? And that's what my dream was about. That's why I just now relayed that dream to you. So, it's so many things that's being revealed to me. I'm going to have to make several videos because I don't want to be long-winded. I've only pulled, 5 cards, and I've had so much to say within 30 minutes. So, it's the rabbit hole. It runs so deep, y'all. It's so much that we need to know. Thoughts, okay? This is all about, and this is what I was just talking about. The black woman, okay? Now, this is not a black woman in this picture, but we have been on their minds. It has been an agenda trying to come up with ways, trying to conjure up ways to bring us down, okay? Constantly thinking of ways. You see how he's thinking, okay? He's in this position where he's watching, observing. So trying to come up with ways to use their agenda against the woman, black woman and child. Now, I'm telling you, this is real, and it's worked for some time, but we're starting to awaken now. We're starting to see through the matrix and see this thing from a higher level of consciousness. And so, look at this. Child, okay? They have been using this agenda against the black woman, okay? Let's just pretend these are black people. But remember what I'm talking about here. So this is just confirmation against the black woman and the child. That's strongly the agenda, okay? If they can gain control of us, because in that room in my dream, like I said, they was jabbing us with whatever this was, trying to turn us into robots, okay? And so because they was trying to turn us into robots, it let me know that they was trying to deactivate our DNA so that we would not understand who we were, so that we would never step into our divinity, so that we will always be operating underneath their control, even from a DNA level. Like they trying to get to the DNA level. They've been doing this for a long time, examining DNA, trying to find out ways to, do this and to do that. Y'all already know. You already know what these people have been doing. And so it's been a large agenda against the black woman and child. Let me pull from this deck over here because I don't want to prolong this message too long. You have here false contract. False contract. So many of the contracts that we have signed, a lot of people don't know that the U.S. government is actually a corporation, okay? It is a business, a private business, and that our social security numbers are actually accounts, okay? A lot of people are not aware of this. And so false contracts, when we signed our children over, when we gave them a birth certificate, okay, when we gave them social security numbers, okay, all of these things were tied to the U.S. corporation. We are part of a corporation, not part of a country, part of a corporation, okay? And there's different ways you might want to look into, do your research on that. You'll be able to find that out. It is a known fact. It is a hidden fact, but it's also known, because understand that anything that the enemy does against us, he cannot completely hide it. He can try to put other distractions in front of us to keep us from seeing the truth, but he cannot completely hide it to where you won't know. Because then the enemy takes away from your ability to operate from a space of free will, and he's not allowed to do that. So you have to do your own research to look into these things. It is a corporation. We are not a part of a country. We are a part of a corporation, especially when you have a social security number and a birth certificate for your children. And so it's a false contract, okay? This contract has given them a strong level of power over us, a strong level of power over our inheritance, because many of our social security numbers are linked to accounts which other people have access to, okay? The U.S. government and these people who are ahead of this corporation, they have access to this and they use it, okay, against us. It's almost like we're still under a level of slavery, okay? This says blackmail. And so that blackmail, like what I was just talking about with the social security numbers and stuff like that, if you don't sign the birth certificate, if you don't give your child a social security number, then the blackmail is, okay, well, you're not going to be able to put your child into school, which now we're starting to learn that the school system is not for our children. We need to establish our own school systems. We have to pull ourselves away from this system. But because we were so engulfed in it in the age of Pisces, we could not see. Our spiritual eyes was blocked. They used it as blackmail. You're not going to be able to do this for your children. You're not going to be able to travel. You're not going to be able to do this, do that, and the third. Many of the important things, or the things that we deemed as being important in the material world, they used it against us, that if you did not sign these false contracts, they would blackmail you so that you would not be able to operate on a day-to-day basis in society. Okay? And we're starting to understand the truth is going to be revealed. Okay, whether you know these things or not, the truth is getting ready to come out. All right, and the Most High has used me as a vessel. I'm being used as a vessel to bring these things to the forefront. And many people, like I said, I got a lot of people who might cross my videos who say, well, she uses cards. Everything is energy. These are a visual tool, because human beings are visual. They need visual aids often to believe things. Okay, and so I'm pulling these cards so that you can see that what I speak comes from a genuine space. I'm pulling these cards so that you're able to see, just like you just saw what I was talking about, the woman and the child, and it popped out. He's looking at the woman and here's the child. These are visual tools to confirm and to reaffirm so that you can see, because a lot of people need to be able to see things in the physical in order to understand the nature of what's happening in the spiritual realm, okay? So these are visual tools. Do not take it. It's all about the intention of the person that uses it. You can take the Bible, which clearly they took the Bible and used it for evil. You could take something like that was meant for good and take it and use it for evil for hundreds of years against a whole group of people. So understand, it's all about the intention of the person who is using the tool. People have to see that. There's so many people that's blinded to that. So then you have, here we go, black woman. That's what I was just telling you about. It's all about going against the black woman, because if you can get to the woman, then you can get to the man. They go to the woman first, okay? That's just like when I was watching the movie Pocahontas with my children, the original Pocahontas. I was so surprised to see that they were so blatant, because I remember watching that movie when I was a kid, but I didn't remember them saying a lot of the things that they said. And they was literally calling the white man a devil in the movie Pocahontas. And I was like, damn, I didn't know that they was putting him out there and calling him out like that in the movie, but they was. And so they was calling him a devil, but the first person that they went for was the woman. They went for Pocahontas. And they tried to use her heart, because we are very empathetic, compassionate beings, came in and pulled at her heartstrings using a white man that, came to allure her. Of course, he was attracted to her because we are beautiful melanated beings. And even in the movie Pocahontas, they still had their melanin in the movie. Okay? Very dark-skinned people in the movie. But I'm sure a Pocahontas movie today would probably be a white-skinned Indian versus the one from back in the day. I'm 36 years old, so you're talking about back in like the 80s when they made that movie. Maybe even the 70s. And so they recognized, the Indians recognized who the enemy was when they came in, because they was calling him a devil. They was calling him a white devil, okay? And so when they came in offering this peace and asking them, well, teach us your ways. Teach us how you, because Pocahontas knew how to speak to the trees. She knew how to speak to the wind. She knew how to examine the stars. And, we always understood these things. We always understood our connection to everything that exists around us. And we always had a strong connection with nature, because to disconnect from nature is to disconnect from yourself. We always had a strong connection with the animals and the birds so Pocahontas, she was teaching this man all of her ways, and he just was like, wow, this is magical. I've never even known, because they never had that connection. You see what I'm saying? And so we taught them our ways, our ability to use our powers. Some people might call it magic, but these are things that we was using because we had a connection. It seems magical. That's how it seems. It seems magical when you actually recognize the power that we possess, especially to people that's not used to it. When Christ came, many people said that he was into witchcraft and that he was a sorcerer and that he was doing all this, that, and the third, because he was doing things that they themselves was not able to do. He was doing things that they themselves were not able to believe or to have faith that they would ever be able to do them, on their own. Even though Christ came and said, better works than me shall ye do. Meaning we possess the ability to do this ourselves. We possess the ability to heal. We possess the ability to awaken open the eyes of the blind. And many of the things that's in the Bible is similitudes. Opening up the eyes of the blind means seeing through the veil. Seeing things with your spiritual eyes, seeing through the matrix, seeing through the illusion of what has been handed to you by the scribes and the Pharisees. Because their agenda has always been to just maintain a certain structure and to keep us asleep. But let me see. I'm going to pull a few more cards because now my battery is getting ready to go low, y'all. A couple of more cards and I'm going to go ahead and close out. I'm going to have to do a part 3, and I will. Step into your power. Understand who you are. Understand your strength. Understand who we are as a collective. Once we heal individually and come together as a collective, there's nothing that they can do. We can either slow down the process and prolong the process, or we can speed up the process based on how much work we're willing to do on an individual basis. So it's time to put in the work, y'all. We're going to have a part 3. So I'll see y'all next time. I love you.